Okay, ladies and gentlemen, square root 9, 1. Take a moment, pause to read the bottom down here. Essentially what it's saying is x squared equals y. Then we're saying x is the square root of y. And for every positive y, it has two square roots, one positive, one negative. The positive square root of y is indicated by the square root of y, and the negative square root by negative square root y. Perfect squares have integer square roots. So say 36 has integers of 6 times 6, or negative 6 times negative 6 will both be 36. So they could have a square root that is 6, negative 6. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you need to stop right now, pause the video, and you need to create the list of the first 20 perfect pairs. It's a do now. You need to do this because it'll make the rest of these lessons easy. So we have one column of square root. The second is the perfect square. So 1 is square root is 1. If I was to take 2, I would get this perfect square of 4. 3, I get a perfect square of 9, so on and so forth. I did up to 10, so you have the next 10 to do. Yes, you have the harder 10 to do. Okay, for those of you who said, oh, I'll just skip that, seriously, this slide you might be able to get by, but we have upcoming slides where you really need to have your list to reference to see why something is working. Finding a square root. A square courtyard has an area of 400 square yards. Find the length of one side of the courtyard. So we know that it's square and it has each side length is x. We also know the area is 400 square yards. We know the formula for area is length times width. So length is x and the width is x since it's a square. So we have x times x equals x squared. We know x squared equals 400 because it told us that that's the area. So we're going to take the square root of both sides, because what I do to one side I must do to the other. Same with square roots. So the square root of x squared and the square root of 400. I end up with x times x under the square root. So I have x, and then I have 20 times 20, so it's 20. So it's x equals 20. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is where it's going to help you to have your perfect square list. You're looking to see if you can approximate the square root for 228. These are not perfect squares, but you're doing an approximation. So what is the closest? The first one is square root of 228. The second one is square root of 320. And this is part of that video check. So make sure that you write it on your paper with a video check, and we'll check your answers when you get to class. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I know that many of you love using your calculator, and square root sometimes is a nice reason to use your calculator, so it'll help you. How to use the calculator. First of all, I wanted to show you this picture because when I found this image, syntax error. That means you are smarter than the calculator. And that should say smarter and not just smart. Syntax error means it's not able to reason, and you are. So remember that when you get this error, it means something needs either parentheses or the order of something is confusing the calculator. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to want to pause this possibly and write down these steps. You can see the blue calculator has a lightning bolt pointing to the TI-34, letting you know it's a TI-34, and the pink one is a TI-30 with the lightning bolt pointing to that. So look at the calculator that you use, so the one you use most often, and you're going to want to write down the steps. They're pretty much the same. Actually, it looks like they might exactly be the same as I look closer. But the first thing you do is locate the second button. The second thing is you're going to hit the caret button because you'll see a square root above that. And if my eyes are bad, I might be one down from that. Then the third, you're going to enter your numbers. The fourth thing is you close the parenthesis again, and then you're allowed to hit the equal signs. Make sure you get that into your notes so that you know how to use your calculator. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, use your calculator. If you need to go back and rewatch that section previously, please do. But using your calculator, approximate the square root of 632, rounding it to the nearest tenth. Think about what I meant by the nearest tenth. If you look down the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to see the answer. Did you get that answer?